Welcome, everybody. We're super excited about this session today. This is Elemed's first Future Leaders session focused on leading people. So we're actually doing this with two different live streams. One is with Zoom with video for those of you that want to be watching the video. And we also have a live stream on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn audio event where we already have 46 people listening in. So thank you, everybody, for joining us and listening in. So what I want to do is just get started with some housekeeping. So I'm going to just share my screen for those of you that are watching on LinkedIn. As you can see, today's Future Leaders sessions is dedicated for future leaders by real leaders sharing their experience, because as we know, or as we know here at Elemed at least, as you want to progress through your career, the things that become more and more important are the soft skills, not just the technical skills. And so these future leader sessions are really designed to help you learn from people that are doing the job right now and take their learnings and apply them in your own daily jobs. So let's get started. Couple of housekeeping things. As you know, we're on Zoom and LinkedIn Live. There is going to be one centralized space for managing communication, and that is going to be Slido. So for those of you that are listening on LinkedIn audio, navigate to the events page and you will find the link to the Slido there. It's very easy for you to open up and to jump in and ask your questions. For those of you that are listening on Zoom, you're going to be receiving in the chat in just a couple of seconds the link directly to the Slido for you to also open up there. If you have technical issues on Zoom, feel free to message into the chat and we will have Sonia support you. If you have technical issues on LinkedIn, unfortunately, we're limited with what we can do there. So we won't be able to do much, but hopefully it's going to run okay. We will be recording, and we are recording this session. And to those of you who are already a premium member of RQC, you're going to be able to watch that on demand afterwards. If not, we're going to share the link of how to get there. We do intend on finishing in an hour's time sharp. So we want to get moving and get this going quickly. But please keep an eye on your inbox, because there we are going to be sending through a feedback session and a follow-up session to collect some feedback. And as this is our first ever LinkedIn audio, Zoom and Future Leaders session, we'd love to hear what you liked and what you think we can improve for the future. So just to jump into and share a little bit more about our Slido, here is the link. The link, you can find it in the Zoom chat. So open that up and also open up the LinkedIn audio event and open up the Slido, put your name in, because that is going to be where we're going to be able to interact. There's some pre-registered questions. So what you can do is vote up the questions that you want to have answered the most, but also you can ask your own questions and have other people vote your questions up. We will be addressing the most popular questions in the last 20 minutes of the session with a live Q&A for our panel and our guests. So let's give it a go. I hope that some of you have already jumped into the Slido. I'm going to be having a look on it myself as well. I have a question. Where are you joining from? So we're going to launch a poll right now on Slido. So let us know, enter a word of where you're joining from, and let's see what the responses look like. So we've got some people from London, we've got UK, we've got Montpellier in France. Oh, we've got somebody from the US. Belgium, Germany. Wow, this is a really international group, I have to say. We've got Ireland. Hello to the person in Illinois outside Chicago. Hello, Switzerland. Hello, Greece. Kalispera. We've got Italy. Wow, so we're really covering a huge bunch of territory here, guys. I'm really proud. So let's keep going. I think it's time to get started, guys. I did my 5-minute intro. I think it's time now that we welcome our esteemed panel of leaders. I'm going to stop sharing and we're going to get their faces spotlighted up and onto the screen. And we're going to kickstart with some very, very brief intros so you can get to know the leaders that we have on the session today. So let me quickly introduce myself for those of you who don't know me whilst we get the spotlights on. My name is Elena Kyria. I am the CEO of Elemed. For those of you who don't know Elemed, we are a specialised recruitment company focused on medical devices and diagnostics, quality, regulatory and clinical. I'm really pleased to have 4 amazing leaders that are doing some really cool stuff as far as leading people goes. So I'm going to hand over to Leah, who's going to start with an introduction. Welcome, Leah.
Thank you so much, Elena, for having me and the rest of the leaders in this panel. It's a big pleasure. For those who don't know me, my name is Leah Talla. I work with Zimmer Biomed since 11 years now as the Quality and Regulatory Affairs Associate Director, covering the EMEA emerging markets region. In my scope of work, I have 7 direct reports with a total team members of 35. We are responsible of 50 countries, and it's a big pleasure today to share our experiences here. Thank you. And I give the word to Sophie.
Thanks, Leah. Hello, everybody. I'm Sophie Tabutin. I work with WL Core for 5 years now, and I'm leading the EMEA regulatory team. So it's a team of 5 people. We all home-based in 5 different countries in Europe and have 5 different nationalities. So it's kind of an interesting set of people. And I look forward to getting some of the questions and hearing the co-presenters as well on leading tips. So I give the floor to Junaid.
Hello, everyone. My name is Junaid Shafi Ahmed. First of all, I would like to give my appreciation to Elemed and to Elena, especially, for hosting this future leader session and to make me a part of this first session that we're going to have now. Hopefully, this will be a very positive session, and people are also going to take away good points for their future interests, as Elena also mentioned. From my personal thing, from my background, I am COO for a company named MacBooks NTG MBH, based in Berlin. We are 3 locations in Berlin, in Germany altogether, and we have a location also in the US. I'm responsible for the Q&R activities of the company. I've been in this company since the past 6 years. And previous to this role, I was working as Vice President for Q&R. I take care of all the operational activities in the company, together with my peer person as leadership of the company, with the CEO, to drive the business transformation of this company. And in total, I have 13 years of experience working in Q&R, working globally, regionally, and nationally, also working with 8 notified bodies on all the device risk classes. And it's been a very fun ride until now. And I'm looking forward to this session together with my other co-panelists. And hopefully we will have a wonderful session by the end of it all. So I pass on to the last person, Olive.
Thank you, Junaid. Hello, Elena. Thank you for hosting us here, and I'm really looking forward for that event here. So my name is Olaf Nitz. I'm since 2018 with Code and Argus. We are an infusion pump manufacturer. I'm there the deputy managing director, but also the head of QA and RA. Heading actually 6 direct reports in my team. For my, let's say, career path, I worked for more than 10 years in a startup in cardiology with a novel technology, curing acute myocardial infarct patients even better with the current therapy. Even go more back in my career, I've worked for many companies in the medical device area. So I have more than 20 years of experience in different areas of the medical device manufacturing society, so to speak. So I think we get started, Elena. So I'm heading back to you.
Thank you, though. So thank you, everybody, and welcome again. Thank you for being a panelist on this show. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your insights. You've all come from all over the world and really different backgrounds, and you're currently having really different scopes. So I'm eager to get into it. So the first question I have, let's just get this started with just one thing. So what is the one thing that, in your opinions, make a great leader? So just one thing. Let me start with Olaf. Let's go back to you. So what would you say, one thing that makes a great leader?
For me, it's authenticity and living your values.
I'll let you have 2. I'll let you have 2 then, Olaf. Authenticity and living your values. Brilliant. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Sophie?
So now that Olaf has covered the living you values, I'll go for inspire.
Inspire. Very nice. And Leah?
I would say that a true leader should be his or her true self, so they can build more trust and consistency with their team members.
So that feeds back to Olaf's point around authenticity as well. So we're starting to see very similar themes now. Junaid, what would you say?
For me, a great leader or apt leader would be someone who has this vision to transform business or to add value to business, and who has this ability to convince other collaborators or the other stakeholders with this visionary idea, so that they, at the end of the day, can collaborate and bring success to the company. So that is a leader who I would say or classify as a great leader.
Brilliant. So let me just go back to that concept of authenticity, because it's one that you're going to find on LinkedIn in these inspirational posts, or Simon Sinek, but actually, could one of you maybe speak to the point of like, what does it mean to be an authentic leader, and what tips and ideas do you have on how to actually be authentic? Does anyone have any comments to that?
Maybe here it's Olaf speaking. I think being authentic is also being I'm just missing just the word, being yourself, just living, as I said, your values, and being loyal to yourself. I think that's the main issue. It's really, the main point is really being loyal to yourself. I mean, loyalty to the company is one point, but you have to be as well loyal to yourself. I think that makes authenticity really real and happen.
Yeah, thank you, Olaf. And Leah, what did you want to add to that?
I would also add that it's okay to show our weaknesses in front of our team members and in front of our managers, because this would definitely be a learning experience to the others.
Yeah. Oh, Sophie, you've got something to add as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking, we see a lot of tips and trainings on how to be a great leader, how to lead people, how to think. As we said, authenticity is super important, because you can try to change yourself. You still can be yourself, and in stressful situation or in difficult situation, you cannot help going back to who you are. So you might as well just be yourself, use the tricks and tips you can get from different training and methods, but just adopt them and adapt them to who you are, rather than trying to be somebody else, because that's not going to work.
Yeah. Thank you, Sophie. Junaid, did you have something to add as well?
Yes, I mean, Sophie did cover the last point. So the being yourself and not really faking it, because what you expect from a leader is something not short term. It is a long term thing, and you are there in your day-to-day business. You are looked up as a leader. So you better be authentic rather being fake. And so it is a continuous activity, and that everyone sees how this person's behaving. And I mean, if you take a look at all the historical figures, I mean, there could be so much examples of great leaders, and as Sophie mentioned, there are so many interesting videos or information available how you become a great leader. But generally, I think the more important question is also, how do you become a great leader of the modern era, of this time and age? So that is also something which we have to think about. But generally, yes, being to yourself, being transparent to your people, and much easier to learn about yourself is something which I would call as authenticity, with what we would expect from an authentic leader. So
thank you so much, Junaid. I think that's sort of, you make some very valid points as well, and leadership style, it evolves, as generations evolve, and as as the working world changes as well. Now we're starting to see things like hybrid leadership, remote leadership, and in the past, that wasn't really a thing. So skills of a leader are also having to adapt. But let's talk about teams, because today's all about leading people. And I really want to hone in on a big question that I think a lot of our clients have, which is, how do you build great teams? Now, Olaf, I know that you have a specific idea around this. Maybe you could start by sharing that with us.
Yes, I have. I mean, I try to give this in a nutshell because it's. I mean, we talked a lot about that process we installed at our company. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's not a unique. It's not a, let's say, common practice we have done here in Europe using, let's say, involving in neuroscience by getting people into the team. So we were looking at together with a consultant, certainly, because I mean, I'm not an expert in the neuroscience, but looking into the emotional system, because for me it was very important to stick to the soft skills, the human skills of a person. I mean, hard skills, I mean, this I can learn over the time. This is not an issue, but sometimes my human skills really stop me to use my hard skill. And that's where we were looked into that process very deep together with this consultant, where we start to build this great team. And I mean, it started really by, let's say, looking into the needs that what the company has in respect to the soft, the human skills. What kind of people do we need to make that system whole again? Because when somebody leaves the company, I mean, he always leaves, or she leaves a hole behind. I mean, from the experience, but also with the character or the experience this person has. And there we started by building, let's say, what are the needs for the company with respect to the soft skills. Based on that need, we created our job ads based on the neuroscience, because certain buzzwords really attract a certain breed of people we were looking for. That means in the end, we got less applications, but all the applications we got were full hits. So in the end, it was a very hard time for us to really select those people. And it was really an interesting process to go through with this. I mean, take several rounds. We interviewed the person or the candidates also in a special way. We looked at how they're going to react, that they can be authentic. Because I mean, everybody often knows from us being in an interview is stressy. You feel uncomfortable. You're going to want to sell yourself, but it's not in the end going to work. Not for you as a candidate, but also not for the company. And where we're looking for was also really the point. We're not looking only for the right fit, that the candidate fits to us, but also, do we fit to this candidate? Can we really offer that candidate? Are we the right company? And that was very important for me going through that process. And today, I have to say, I have a brilliant team, because they make them whole each other. So they supporting each other. Some people which were before quiet, suddenly blooming up, flowering up, because there came somebody in like a sunshine, and they started to open up their mind and change totally different in their behavior in a positive way. And that was really amazing to see. I mean, if somebody who had told me that before, just in words, I wouldn't have believed that. But really having that experience in a live form, it was amazing. And I'm really, I mean, you can hear from my words, I'm a really big fan about that. And I would never stop this process in my life. I mean, would continue as long as I can going that route. And yeah, if you need some more information, just contact me. Never mind. But I really love the praise, and that's how I built my team today, which is really great, and I'm really proud of that team. And they're doing their job, and it's just great. It's amazing.
Thank you so much, Olaf. So it's really about looking at the soft skills and actually trying to put personalities together that can complement each other as well, where they can bounce off of each other's strengths. And I think the one thing that I'll mention before passing to Janae, because I know Janae's got something to say on this, is that as hiring managers, we're very often drawn to the people that we're most alike, most similar to. And so one of the challenges is when you're really, as a hiring manager, focusing only on chemistry between you and that person, you can very quickly end up with hiring a whole team of people that are just like you, strengths and weaknesses. So you almost need to understand, what are the strengths of the team and weaknesses of the team, and balance that out. So I'm going to pass now to Janae, who I think's got something to add to that point.
Absolutely. So for me, a great team, I mean, what is measure of greatness? the output is the measure of greatness. So, I mean, you generally don't call a team as great because they look good or they work very well together. End of the day, if the output that comes out as the work collaborative effort of a set of individuals look really great or is par optimal, then you say that is a great team. So for me, a great team is someone or a group of individuals who collaborate with one another, and it is the work of a leader to actually find out, as you also mentioned, Elena, what are the strengths of these people and how could these strengths add value in a team when they collaborate together and bring the best output, which could transform business and add value to business. So that would be, for me, a great team. But how to make a great team is a step-by-step process where people, as a leader, you sit and evaluate people with their strengths and for whatever they need improvements for. And then you find out to which part they could best or effectively contribute the best, and then mix them together and see how they play the dice for the game. So then they play the game as they are naturally meant to play it, and you will see the result coming out as great. So the result speaks for the team itself, that this team is doing a very good job. So that's how you basically evaluate. But it is not a one overnight process. It is a process of understanding and how the individuals who are looking up to you work with you, and then evaluating them for their efforts time to time, for their deliverables time to time, and then eventually putting them into a network of collaborators as together for a specific task, and then see if the output is meeting your expectation or going above your expectation. That is a great team for me.
So let's go deeper into the how, right? And you spoke about strengths and being able to identify the strengths of the individual people on your team and making sure you're leaning in and prioritizing those strengths. So Sophie, how do you identify the strengths of the people within your team?
I think that the first thing I've been doing with my team is just making sure, first of all, that I give them the chance to tell me what they think their strengths are. And then we put that into practice, giving them some smaller projects, side commitments, sort of things where they can exercise that. And that's where you can see whether that's something they enjoy and they deliver high quality results on, or if that's something sometimes they enjoy, but they need some support to help grow it to where they want to be. So it's more like the practice that helps. You need the people to be willing to do things for them to do them well. There's no point forcing somebody and putting them into a situation where it's set for failure. That doesn't bring any value to anybody. And I think in the company I work in, we don't call anybody managers. We are leaders, not managers. And you define the leader by who is following him. So it's not about being defined as a leader. You grow as a leader because people trust you and follow you, not because they say so. So it's more, give them a chance to prove themselves. In Go, we're really much about autonomy and freedom to try to do things. So when they say, oh, I think I'm good at that, I'd like to do a lot of that, then okay, but maybe that's not the good way to help them grow fully. And maybe what they think is their sweet spot and safe place is not where they need to be, and that's not where their strengths are. So you see them by interacting regularly with them and asking open questions. You get more out of people when you just ask them to come up with a solution rather than try to give them options. If you give them options, you're restricting them. If you come up with open questions, they're free to give you ideas, and then some people are more introverts, so it's harder to get that out of them, but it still happens. So it's more a case of finding the right way and the right channel to make them feel like they can speak out and that they have as good as ideas as anybody else.
Thank you, Sophie. I'd like to just jump to the flip side of that, to weaknesses then. So we've spoken about, okay, how do you identify identify strengths in your team. But then maybe Leah, maybe you can talk to this point. How do you go about identifying then weaknesses, and what do you do about them?
Yeah, this is the most challenging part, yet the most exciting part. So what I do is 3 steps. The first thing is that I definitely rely on data and facts, because I will have to go to my team member and tell them, okay, this is what you are doing. Let's check what are the opportunities for growth. And second thing, which is very important based on experience, is that I question this team member if there's anything going on in their personal life. Because at the workplace, we could tend to forget that you also have our personal lives, and a lot of events could happen and affect our performance. Third thing, which is very important, is that we tailor together an action plan on improving those opportunities for growth. I would like to end up by stating that communication is key in this process in a compassionate way, because when you communicate to this person, telling them that we are here to support you, to help you, and you say this transparently, we would make a difference. And to be fair, my team members, all of them are one of the best team members. We are a top performing team, but Elena, it doesn't mean that we do not have weaknesses. I have weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. We are not perfect. It's very important to acknowledge that, to know that we are not perfect, but we have the decision to say, yes, we want to work on it, or no, I'm satisfied where I am today. So it's okay to say, yes, we failed. It's okay to say, yes, we have weaknesses. And it's a personal choice to decide, yes, we want to work on it, or no, we're satisfied where we are.
There's different schools of thought around what you do with weaknesses, and I'm interested to just throw it to you all and to get your input on that. So there's the school of thought that says identify your weaknesses and don't worry about them, focus on your strengths, and actually spend your time doing the stuff you're really, really good at, and let somebody else, or find somebody else that, you know, will do something where their strength is your weakness, and you build teams in that way. There's the other school of thought that says identify your weakness and your strengths, and then work on improving your weaknesses to get better at them. I'm interested to ask all 4 of you, when you're looking at your teams, what is your philosophy when it comes to that? Olaf, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. I think it's not the question about having weaknesses and strengths. It's all about the content, because a strength today can tomorrow be a weakness because I'm overacting or I'm doing too much. So I think it's more we have to be aware of where we are, what our characters are, what our attitudes are, and we have to learn when I have to use which attitude in which situation based on the content. I think this is the difficulty, and that makes then a good leader, or let's say also gives a good team in the end. Because I mean, I'm a bit annoyed about the questions. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? So this silly question in a formal interview, because it doesn't tell you anything about the candidate or the leader in the end. I think as I said, you have to be aware. You have to know where I have to behave in which situation. You know, I think that's the point we have to discuss and look more into it.
Thanks.
So back to human skills.
yeah, always back to the human skills. And Jeanette, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I generally come up from this mindset that there is never a person, or we should not come up with an expectation that a person is a lock and key for all the problems or challenges that a company or organization faces. So there is a set of strengths, of course, an individual carries or possesses. Everyone is the same. So if you think, okay, this hiring a certain individual or selecting a certain stakeholder for a certain project is automatically the solution for the whole equation, that mindset always, or most cases, ends up in trouble. So there is, of course, areas where I would call weaknesses as areas of improvement, where you could actually find out how we could basically make sure this individual contributes the best that they can for a certain organization. So in the same sense, you evaluate the person, let's say, with concise objectives, sizable objectives, which could be measured. Let's say you give them 2-3 tasks and see if they are delivering the tasks properly. This is what I do with my team. So I'm just sharing what my normal ways of handling business is. So, and you see if they're able to deliver the expected results based on the timelines which they committed to deliver the expected results. And if it is not matching, then you have, you see that this is a flag. And first, let's give the person a bit of opportunities, like 1, 2, 3 opportunities. And you see, then you identify exactly how this person, or where exactly this person needs improvement. And in that case, you pick out this person and you apply solutions. So the solutions, what I generally apply is to have a one-on-one with that person and see if I could guide them to see what, this is the work what a leader should basically do in terms of guiding them exactly what is expected. And if there is any chance of internally collaborating that person with another person who actually has this weakness or this area of improvement as a strong point. So I fix them both together. So in cross-training way, this person who actually had that as a area of improvement gets to also learn from this strong contributor. And if that still doesn't work as a third step, then there is other ways to do it. Still go for external coaching and stuff like that. So always there are solutions, and it is quite necessary that the leader understands how or where this person should improve. In which area are they lacking focus or lacking expertise, competence? How could we basically bring them up to speed? So in going forward, they also become a super good contributor to that aspect of the team as well. So this is how I would assess this. But weakness, as Olaf also explained, is a shady word which interviewers also ask. Tell me your negatives and positives. So that could be so many things. But generally speaking, on day-to-day business, when you see how you interact with your people, you understand where they need improvement. And if you could guide, if you have the time for it, please go ahead and guide that person. If not, fix it together with the person who has the capability to do it. If not, then please nurture their talent by going ahead, by sending them to some coaching. And if it still doesn't work, then that needs another discussion. But that's how I do it. So,
and let's just go on the point of nurturing talent then, because you've mentioned that, and that was, I think, something that has come up time and time again. So Leah, you've got your hand raised. I wanted to throw that question to you around how do you go about nurturing talent within your team and motivating them as well?
Yeah, it's also an interesting topic for me because I'm a career mentor and I've built this throughout those years. So first thing is I try to embrace the challenges and tell the team members that failures and challenges are an area to grow and learn from them. And I do my best to provide them with the necessary resources, support. If there are no resources, which is the case, most of the time, we try to support one another and learn from other functions or from other regions. Second thing is mentorship and guidance, just like Junaid said. I try to guide them as much as possible using the right sources, providing them with the right trainings, connecting them with one another. But as mentioned previously, it's also very important to question the talent. What is happening in your personal life? And are you able to do what is being asked for you to do? And mentoring them means asking them, what is your career path? What do you want next? And also raising some of the questions that could create more their brain to think and function further, because you cannot always give them the answers. It's also important for them to question themselves, what do they want next? Third thing, very important, is the recognition and empowerment. The more we empower our team members, and this is being talent or not talent, and I don't like to call it not talent, but everyone has a talent somewhere. It's very important to empower them and recognize them whenever they do something, be it small or big, because when you encourage those team members, they will go further in what they want to achieve.
So for all of you listening now, I'm gonna redirect you all to Slido. Thank you, Leah, for your points. They're very pertinent, and I think based on what you've said, coaching and mentoring, and just sometimes asking the difficult question, and having that difficult conversation around, I think you're brilliant. I can see where you want to go in your career. And actually, we don't necessarily have that right now in our company. That's a brave conversation leaders have to have. And I've spoken to a number of leaders, even on my podcast, where they've gone on to say, I mean, John Wilkinson stands out, where he went on to say, actually he helped people move out of the MHRA through his career because that was the right move for the people that he was bringing through on his team. And so actually having that longer term view, to your point, Leah, is really important when trying to nurture and develop talent for the future. To those of you that are listening now on Zoom and on LinkedIn audio, please jump into the Slido, because now we're going to go to the live Q&A. So this is your chance to pose questions to our live panel, and we already have some questions already in the Slido, and we have some that have already a high number of votes. So we're going to start with the most popular and work our way down. So if you haven't already jumped into the Slido, the link is in the Zoom chat. The link to the Slido on LinkedIn audio is also on the audio event. Open up the Slido, have a look at the questions that are already there, vote up the ones you want answered, or if you have a question that hasn't been written, throw it in there and let everybody else vote it up. But I'm going to get started now with the first question, which actually, Sophie, I'm going to throw this one to you. It's going to be around, how do you go about leading groups in which you don't have formal authority? So how do you go about leading groups in which you don't have formal authority? And I thought that this was an interesting one because of the way things work at Gore.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, at Gore, we have a very flat structure. Hierarchy is not a thing, and everybody can lead anybody on a project. So it's really like a flat organization. So I think somehow makes it easier to lead across teams and across functions, just because this is the DNA of the company. But still, it's all about, and I'm going to go back to what Olaf said at the very start of the meeting. It's all about being authentic. If you're yourself, and like everybody has leadership, and you may feel passionate about a project or something, and you want to take the lead, then you just step out and say so, and show what you can bring, and tell people, and it inspire them into, okay, if it's leading by actual actions rather than leading by organigram. So in a project, you're more given that opportunity to just stand out and say, hey, I think we should be doing this, and explain what, and convincing. So there's more influencing rather than telling. It's all about listening to people and hearing what other has to say, and finding the commonalities and the energy to bring everybody in the same direction. So I guess there's lots of ways to do it, but yeah, inspiring and influencing is really what stands out to me in that sort of multi-functional settings.
Does anyone have any points around how do you assert yourself though? So to this question, how do you, what if somebody doesn't recognize you as the leader of that thing, so for example, why should I do that? You're not my direct manager. How do you handle that situation? Leah?
Yeah, very quickly, I ask for the empowerment of my manager. So if someone is having this difficulty, go and ask the empowerment of your manager. Let him or her go and tell those team members that you are the team representative, or you have the indirect authority to do those tasks. Because if you have the capability and you have the indirect authority, then someone needs to give you this power.
Thank you. That's a good point. And Junaid?
So I think this is a case of peer leadership and lateral leadership. So basically, how do you generally, you don't have to exercise any formal authority on anyone in order to get a project or any task done. That is not necessary. It is all a part of how you convince the other party to ensure that they join in hands or understand what is the gap, bridge the gap of what is necessary to be done in order to move this block forward, so that we reach as a common target the same objective that we as a company would like to reach. So it's mostly about how you convince this individual. Let's take a case of an example. So let's imagine there is a specialist person who is working with directors and VPs and senior managers and so on, who is supposed to complete a certain project at a certain timeline. And if this is exactly the case where you have, you can't exercise formal authority on these individuals, but certainly you should, or you have to, because that is your objective, to get this thing done. So if you could convince these people in your way that this project is able to bring transformation to your work life, to your area of work, in order to add value to business and so on. And if they are buying into that argument, then you're already a successful person. So you don't have to exercise formal authority, but still, at the end of the day, we all work together to ensure that the company gets the results as the top leadership expects from every one of us. So that would be my way to do it. So I mean, based also on my experience of working with 75 countries at the same time to make all the QMSs into one QMS. This was also one exciting project that I had the chance and the pleasure to work in. Obviously, back in that time, I had to work with so many different directors, so many high-level managers, but still we were able to club and get the things done according to what was expected on time. And if I come from a point of view, okay, I know everything what is expected, then I'm meant to fail. And if I'm also open to ideas of what the other side is going to give me as feedback, and if I could make some twitch here and there to fix what is expected, I still would see success at the end of the day. So this is how we succeeded as a team together. And we share the success even till today, because I see that company where I work still using the same system that was developed by this committee of people who were behind that whole project. So yeah, that's how it's done in my experience. So
thank you, Junaid. So to this very important question, just to summarize for all of our listeners, how do you lead a team where you don't have, or how do you lead someone where you don't have formal authority? There's different ways of doing it. So there's as Sophie said, stand up and take the initiative and take the lead and use your expertise to show that you know what you're talking about and inspire others and inspire action. To Leah's point, it's about asking for empowerment from people that support you to also present that to the person, right? So that you are not on your own, but you're feeling supported as well for yourself. And also to Junaid's point, it's about selling the benefit to the person and actually have them also understand why if they're following and supporting your leadership, how that's actually going to help them and look good for them, and how it's going to also help the company achieve the company goals. So not to make it about you, but to make it about them and to make it about the company. We're going to move on because we've got loads of questions in Slido and we're not going to get through them all, guys. So if you're listening and you have your Slido open, have a scan through all of those 22 questions and upvote the ones you want to have answered. We're going to address the most highly rated questions. So the next one is current people's choice for strategies for building cohesion in a fully remote team. This is a very good question. So how do you go about building cohesion when you have a team that is located all over the world, different cultures, they're not in the office, you're not having those water cooler conversations? Give us some, and let's try and keep these answers as concise as possible. Give us some ideas around tactical strategies to build cohesion in your team. Let's start with Olaf.
Thank you, Elena. Very simple and straightforward, because why this came up, I mean, that we all faced Corona. We all went from one day to another back home into the remote places. And the first thing what I have done is I started a virtual coffee break every morning at the same time, where we came together as a team and really had a virtual coffee together, or a tea. And we had just two rules. We were not talking about the company or Corona. So we had any other topics where we discussed, for instance, what have you done over the weekend? And suddenly came up some, hey, I've done a wine tasting here, and hey, have you ever tried this wine? Or about food, and any other topics we are talking about. And I think that was very nice, and the people appreciated that they don't felt alone, that they had this connection.
Mm.
We had a once a week also, let's say, a come together meeting. So everybody was telling the others, hey, I'm working on this, and that's the plan for the next week. I'm working more or less on that. And that's how we, let's say, get connected. And you know what? We're still doing it today. We still have this coffee break every morning at the same time. Whoever is able is joining that coffee break. Or for other, let's say, members in the company, we called it coffee and learn. So somebody took a topic for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and were informing the others. And everybody from the company could join that, and we're learning some topics or anything. And that's how we, let's say, meant the people still together, which were totally remote, and we're still doing it, and the people like it. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we saw the rise of during COVID. These virtual, like, you almost force the water cooler conversations to happen if you carve out time for them to be able to happen. Sophie, I'm going to go to you because I know that you also have the lattice and the interesting remote team. So what do you guys do? You're on mute. Also a COVID trend.
I recruited like 3 of my current team members during COVID, so without even seeing them. So the whole recruitment was virtual, and with COVID, it's taken a long time before we could actually see each other physically. And I remember, like, was one of them saying, like, I probably could bump into you in an airport. I know your face from like a computer, but I don't know what you look like 3D. So like, how do you bring that person in where they all have quite defined roles within the team, so they don't necessarily interact with each other on a daily basis? So how do you bring in the person that has like that quite isolated role in there? What we've been doing is, like, we have regular calls like within the team, and like our company is quite chilled in the way and informal in the way we interact. So it's very, we nurture diversity in a way. So we just allow people to be as they are. There's not that much of a meeting etiquette that you could have in some other companies. So people are just who they are, and they come as they are. So we respect that, and therefore people feel a bit more prone to be able to speak up and participate via the fact that it's more open atmosphere. And what I've been doing as well also is making sure that I pair some of my team members in some small projects. So somebody who's quite new and quite introvert, and has like a defined role that may be a bit outside of the rest of the team's interaction. I make sure they always come to the team meeting so that hear what others are doing, and that give them an opportunity to maybe say, oh, I can help on this, or maybe I'll suggest to them that they can come and help somebody else. And that's the way to bring them in. Tend to do that with some quite welcoming and mentoring other team members, and you get automatically that adoption in there. I know some of my team members have been, because we're all remote, so they do work together, like have their teams open and actually work as with seeing each other and being able to bubble to each other like they would do in an office. So it's allowing them to do that. Some people will say, I'm not sure that's super efficient. It's like, well, I'm sure it helped them grow and learn from each other. So it's sometimes hard to be remote, and making sure that they all know what each other is doing. They can all jump in and see their other team members jumping in, also nurture that thing about solidarity between the different team members. So it's been working really well so far.
Thank you so much for that, Sophie. We're going to jump into the next Slido question. So we have a slightly loaded question, I would say, but I think we sort of get the gist. So the question is, how are others managing the serious problem with ageism in the workplace brought in by the millennials and the younger generation? So let's open up a question a little bit more related to how do you manage across generations as well, and because that's also one of the challenges with these multi-diverse teams as well. People have different needs. So who can take that question? Olaf.
I think you said the right word. We have to talk about diversity, and I mean, I think it's highly important to have diverse teams. I mean, diversity is not all about the gender or the age. It's all about it's also mindsets or where they're coming from. I mean, my team is highly diverse. I mean, it's half is female, male, from the age ranging from the mid-20s to the 50s. Coming from different, let's say, industry. I mean, somebody's coming from the aircraft industry, the other coming from the automotive industry, and they're bringing a lot of ideas and brilliant thoughts into the team. But yes, you have to be open. You have to be aware that is so getting maybe sometimes controversial, that you get, let's say, interesting discussions and different opinions. And I think that's all about diversity and the needs you have to scope with. And yes, I mean, the generation Z is different to the generation X, and you have to know that. You have to be aware of that you have to get these people, get them motivated, interest in the work. And that, I mean, be honest, I mean, we are not married with the company. I mean, people coming, people going. In fact, and we manager have to be, let's say, so flexible that we can deal with this situation. I mean, the world is changing continuously, and we have to, let's say, getting out of our comfort zones and dealing with this constantly changing situations, and being, let's say, young in mind, that we can deal with these changes.
Thank you, Olaf. I'm gonna throw the word to Leah then, who I think also had something to say about generational difference.
Yeah, very quickly, because I could put myself in Olaf's shoes, because I got my last title at a very early age and was indirectly bullied. So I would say that in this case, put yourself in the other person's shoes, whatever is their age, because sometimes the ideas come from a very young person at their maybe a 21, very fresh intern in our company. And sometimes the idea could come from someone who is in their 50s or 60s, almost at their retirement, and they want to leave the company. So it's not about the age, but more about the attitude and the performance, those two things, attitude, performance. So put yourself in the shoes of the other person before judging. They are taking our place. No, we're taking their place. We're moving towards another direction, you know?
Yeah. Thank you, Leah. And Junaid.
Okay. It's not very often that you come across a scenario where you have all the people who are working in a team are the same age group. So to be really honest, it would be the case that you have a differential age group in the team, which is really good, because at the end of the day, the answer is also the answer to the previous question. So you look at the strengths of what could be contributed by each of them. On one side, you see agility, you see diversity, or you see open to ideas, you see willingness to learn and adapt and change and motivation. Or on the other hand side, you have wisdom, you have experience, you have knowledge and everything. How could you club this both together? And that would be the secret formula, which could be utilized in a great way to bring success. So you should not be afraid that, afraid or is taking a step back and thinking, oh, should I be leading a person who's 20 years more than me? No, I mean, you have certainly things to learn from this person. And you have also a person who might be below your age or whoever, who could also add value to the business, you know? So how could you utilize the strengths of these individuals who are of certainly different age, generation X and Z and Y, whatever, you know, how could it still add value to business is what a leader should be focusing on. And certainly that would help in bringing success to the company. So
thank you so much for that, Junaid. And there's also this concept of, you know, mentoring, which everybody knows about, the common mentoring concept, but there's also this idea of reverse mentoring, right? And to Leah's point as well, you can I mean, I learned so much from my younger brother, and he's the new generation coming through, you know. And I think that there is opportunity to learn both ways. It's not just senior versus junior, but actually this cross-lateral type of mentoring relationships that you can also create to learn and to continue development. Right, guys, we're literally into the last 5 minutes. Can you believe how fast this session has gone? Thank you, everybody, for interacting on the Slido. We're going to close the Slido down now. I've got one last question for all of our panelists, and I'm going to ask that we try to keep it super concise. And that is, what is the one piece of advice that you have for someone who is aspiring to become a leader? I'm going to start with Sophie.
I think we're going back a bit to the first question somehow, but I think to me it would be walk the talk, because I think I've never had a leader that I trusted if I didn't respect them, and like people who walk the talk, they deserve respect. So I think that's the good first step.
Thank you. Let's go to Olaf. One piece of advice.
I think it's, as Sophie said, it's respect and being loyal to yourself.
Really nice. And Leah?
I'm going to say something different than what the others have said, but maybe try to understand who is your customer. Because if you understand who is your customer, let's say business, marketing, sales, then you will be able to lead by example your function.
Yeah, really good point. Really good point. And Junaid?
It's just one piece of advice, right? So I would certainly tell whoever the future aspiring leaders to keep a mindset of a student. That's what I tell my team also, because regardless of whatever age or whatever maturity in the business that you reach, if you have this open mindset to accept ideas, to accept also opinions, feedbacks from your team, which could be incorporated to your business in a good way, that would help you also as a leader to function better. And always come up with this, especially in our field of work, which is Q&R. Well, I say to keep this student mindset, because this whole arena of requirements keeps changing from time to time and all that stuff. So it is not a constant. So obviously, you have to be having the student mindset, which helps you also adapt to the new change or new digital infrastructure, new requirements from the law, whatever that is. It helps you with adapting to the new change, which involves you as a leader, and also helps you work with your team in a very comfortable way, which makes their work life together with the leader also a comfortable way of working, which keeps them as a cohesion, as a team together, a successful team. So always keep this student mindset, and the best person who could understand these new requirements or whatever which is changing, and which can club those requirements to the requirements of the business in the most easiest, in the most simplest way. This is the best leader, or the best person who was fit for the job. So that's what I tell my team, and it worked fantastically for us, and it's still showing its results. So
thank you, Junaid. Thank you. So we've just shared the learnings of our panel and the advice from our panel, but I would like to know from all of our listeners. I would really like to know. So jump into your Slido, and please write in there, what is the one thing that you've learned from today's session? Just a word or a little phrase. Let's have a look at some of the things that you've learned. Hopefully we should start seeing the words popping up once we've launched the poll. Let's have a look. Keep the student mindset, be authentic. Test. That was me, guys. Sorry about that. What else have you learned, everybody? Drop some of our learnings in there. Let us know. We hope you've all had a really, really good session. I'm just going to now move to wrap up, because we're literally into the last minute. I can't believe how quickly this session has gone. Guys, if you're interested in leadership, Don't forget there's loads of value that Elemed's offering, right? So we've got our Career Diaries by Elemed podcast, where I interview executive leaders about their stories and their learning. So definitely check that out. We're going to be dropping the links to that in chat. Don't forget about the RQC network, which is where you're going to be able to re-watch this amazing, insightful webinar on demand. And also, I mean, we've spoken about mentoring, and I can't speak about mentoring and not speak about Elemed's Mentoring Academy in partnership with RAPS. We've also dropped the link to that for you to find out more about how you can get involved and get yourself a mentor. So this has been a super really good session. Thank you so much. Clap from me. Thank you so much to our amazing panel. Now, don't forget, guys, there is another episode coming on the 24th of October, and this focus is going to be with a new panel, and it's going to be all about looking inwards. So keep an eye on the Elemed page for the link to pre-register and sign up, which is going to be coming soon. And that's it. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you very much, panel, and thank you all for joining. We had over 100 people live, so that was an amazing session. We're wishing you all a really good rest of your day. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Have a nice day. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.